welcome back to 59 Gaming Mobile, where today we're going to be talking about Sword Elpisia, a pixel RPG available for free on your mobile devices and can be installed on your phone with just a tap. Sword Elpisia is, at its core, a very generic pixel RPG, and by no means is that a bad thing. The game itself is extremely familiar to old-school Final Fantasy games. It's a turn-based RPG, but with a sort of turn bar and ATB system mix, where there's a bar on the top showing which character/enemy gets to act first, and following which you have the ability to use a normal attack, skills based on your character or weapon, and more. To give you an idea, the game's turn bar system is similar to that in Epic 7, but it is more Final Fantasy in its combat. All in all, it's a traditional RPG, but there are some cool features during battle. The game has pets and support members that can either attack and/or buff your characters. For example, during the tutorial section of the game, you get a temporary pet in the form of a dog, who can basically act on its own and attack monsters whenever it's their time to act. Similarly, support members like Alice don't attack, but instead, at random points, buff or debuff your character. So, Alice has strengthened my team and also healed the team at another point. It adds to the battle experience and makes it somewhat unique compared to its contemporaries. The game also features a decently sized open world with a lot of hidden secrets in some of the dungeons, as you can find hidden paths that lead you to treasure that give you items and weapons. It incentivizes exploring and searching through the dungeons, and even the drops the monsters give out tend to also be rewarding. And speaking of monsters, the game has a very cool system in that when you enter the dungeon and at some points in the middle of the dungeon, there's an object that changes the rate of the monster spawns. For example, in Elk Pit, first time you encounter this object, it allows you to adjust it to half the spawn rate, or 2 times. This comes in handily massively, as it allows you to accordingly adjust how much you want to grind. If you need to prepare for a part coming up and you feel you aren't ready, you can just double the spawn rate. And if you feel that you're over leveled, you can just dump the spawn rates down. It's very cool, and honestly such an interesting feature that I personally never thought of seeing in an RPG. The story itself seemed to get off to a very intriguing start as we were thrust, it seems, to a later part of the game as we see our protagonist locked in fierce combat with antagonists. And just a few seconds later, we were pushed back into the past as we meet our main character and the one we control in Aldo, a repairer of magic tools, and somebody who quite honestly needs a laugh or two in his life. Aldo reminds me of one of those extremely moody and emotionless main characters from the RPGs of yesteryears, and honestly is pretty unlikable. But you can already tell that his journey is going to be not just of adventure, but also character development and growth, as Aldo meets new people and experience many different things. The story does lean to be a little generic, as we have a very mysterious antagonist who's extremely strong and is capable of turning humans into Magiswords, and destroyed the village for which Aldo has been repairing tools for. Has to be a coincidence, of course. The music for the game is pretty great as well, albeit a bit repetitive. Honestly, while we enjoyed the first 20-30 minutes of listening to music, I started to get a headache after like 45 minutes, hearing the same tune again and again. I do feel part of it is the world map music being the same consistently, and you spend a lot of time in the starting areas, leading to the same music being played, and once leaving the first couple of areas, the music does change, and honestly, I really like it. I will say I love pixel RPGs, and therefore the art style for me is really nice to look at and very soft, which is great. I love the colors and the characters that they have designed and how they look in pixel format. The map looks diverse as well, with varying regions and how they look, and it does not seem to repeat commonly as well. The characters, as mentioned, look really nice in their pixel form, but they also look really solid in their normal appearance during dialogues. The art style is very much anime-esque, and if you don't mind the designs being a tad bit generic, the characters are decent. Now, the user experience is very much more so a hit than a miss. I like the menus and where everything is located, as well as the options provided. You can adjust the size of the controls, change the layout of the controls as well, and there's multitude of difficulty options and a whole lot more. I was genuinely surprised that the game has had that many options, as I'm usually used to some very basic options that I usually end up keeping as default, but frankly speaking, giving players the numerous options is a massive win in favor of the game. The game also has a premium currency in the form of glowstones, which allow you to buy things from the shop and also summon for weapons and pets. The rates of which are not too much dissimilar to any other gacha game, and arguably better than some popular ones out there. Now, I will say, based on my experience, it's definitely not required, and more so it's a get stronger quick scheme. A player can ignore that aspect and move on with the game completely fine, and as a result, experience the game more or less freely. The big concern, however, is the number of ads in the game. And yes, there are ads in the game. While I'm okay with some ads usually in a game, the common appearance of ads in this game is a real detriment and can take you out of the experience as well. I've noticed the ads pop up regularly after battles and sometimes when going through menus and saving the game. There is an option as well that remains on the top right of your screen to eliminate ads for the small cost of £5. Sword of Elpisia is honestly a very solid pixel RPG. And considering the fact that it is absolutely free to download on mobile devices through TapTap or the official store, it is well worth its experience. The only real downside that has been noticed in this game is of course the ads, but if you do go on to enjoy the game and don't mind spending a little bit of money, it is definitely a smart idea to get the ad eliminator at the least to remove those pesky ads and to enjoy an immersive experience. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all in the next one. Nolar out.